Greetings, humanity, and welcome to Channel Other Doc. I'm Jim, I use he, him pronouns, and this is our premiere of Blades in the Dark. This is a fantasy game by John Harper about a crew of shady characters operating in a haunted industrial-era city that sits under a blanket of perpetual night. I have never actually had a chance to play this game before. I am thrilled that we are getting to start this up. Of course, everything is terribly haphazard. There is no heating or air conditioning in my apartment, and I'm going to be devouring a void apple probably in front of you shortly as things roll on. We adjust. Things happen. We do things in reaction. But let us go around and say hi to folks who are with us this evening as our crew. And we will just let us know who you are and who you're playing. And we will be starting with Speedy. Hello.
Hello, good to be here. My name is Speedy, or Not So Speedruns online. And I am playing as Grift, who is a lurk in this game.
Excellent. And we will now move over to Noctua. Hello.
Hi. So I'm Noctua, she, her, and I will be playing as Weaver, also she, her, who is the spider.
Excellent. And now we will head over to Hollow. Hello.
Hello, I'm Hollow, he, him pronouns. I will be playing Thistle, he, him pronouns. I will be playing the Cutter in this game. He, him pronouns, yes.
I cannot wait. And I am going to be playing Professor Sharky. Some people just call him Professor. Some people just call him Sharky. Just depends. He uses he, him pronouns, and he is the leech. Before I hand things over to our illustrious GM, just as a reminder, you may see us use safety tools from time to time. Like we do with the other games on this channel, we're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. If we hit something that's crossing a line for one of us, any of us can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or hold up a card, make an X symbol, and we'll back up and do something else. If something happens that we're okay having in the game, but we don't want a graphic description of it, we can type an N in the Zoom chat, and we'll fade to black on it or put it behind a veil, so it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if we're exploring a topic or an area of roleplay that's particularly intense for us, but we want to keep going anyway, we can put an O in the chat to let us know we're okay and that we're all good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving into a difficult topic, or if we say or do something and then think, maybe that might have been a little too much, then everyone else can respond to that, again with an X and N or an O to let us know if we're doing okay. We also have the pause. If any of us needs to take some time, we can ask for a pause in the game while we discuss things, or just take a break for as long as anyone needs. As a reminder, just a few content warnings. This game may contain references to violence, darkness, law enforcement, crime, betrayal, deceit, and the supernatural. If you want to see that and you're here watching on Twitch, you can type !Blades CW for content warning, and it'll show that. It'll also be regularly showing up on rotation. If I have maneuvered the bot correctly, we shall find out. Let's see. Also, please remember that we have an open door policy, which means that any of us and any of you can feel free to step away from this at any time if we need to. It is just a game, and mental health is always more important. So now, without further ado, I shall hand things over to our GM, Brian. Hello.
Hello, I'm Brian. My pronouns are he, him. I am the game master. And so tonight, this is our session 0, which means it's mostly going to be working out some lingering character details, although I think everybody's pretty much got your character sheets nailed down, but we still need to work out some other stuff about your characters. And then we need to establish just about everything about the crew. And that is really best done in real time with everybody in the same place. So I'm glad that things fell out the way they did. Now, having said that, what we're also going to do is, I did say world building, and that is entirely true, because despite the fact that Blades in the Dark has a setting and there is setting material in the book, every Blades game is going to be different from each other because there's not a whole lot of detail, despite the fact that a lot of things are detailed, which is excellent because that means we get to make it our own. the factions that we use will have the same names as other games factions, but what they mean to you as the characters and what they mean in the world and how they operate is going to be however we think is the most fun. And by we, I mostly mean you, but also, I get a little vote. So first question I have though is, does anybody have anything about your character sheets that you have any questions about or that you still need to fill in? I don't think so, because I looked at everything and I think you're good, but I just wanted to make sure.
I have just remembered that I have, for some foolish reason, from my first time playing this game, have decided to play someone who is something of an artificer. And
okay.
so I think there's like a design or a device I'm supposed to have that I don't think I've filled in just yet.
That's true, although you're not required to have it for this session necessarily. So you've got some time to work on it, or you can come up with it here too. That'd be fine.
It may happen abruptly sometime within the next couple of hours. We'll see.
Yeah, and that's fine too. Because strictly speaking, I doubt we're going to get any playing done this time, which is fine because I don't want any pressure. I like us to take our time and actually just discuss what we think our Duskfall is going to be. So the next thing is, let's go around and can everybody give a little more information about your character if you want to do it that way? That might be best. Does anyone want to go first? If not, I will call on someone. Oh, wait. You're muted. Noctua?
Yeah. So I fixed it, I think.
Okay. I can hear you.
All right. So Weaver is a woman of refined taste, and she's come to that position in her life by pulling strings. She always knows a guy who knows a guy, and whatever you need, she can probably make it happen. Might not be cheap, it might not be fast, but it will get done. And just a little bit of backstory that I had in my head for her was that she started off like a lot of people in this setting with not a lot to her name, and fought and clawed and found that crime pays for the most part if you don't get arrested for it.
Right.
So she's putting up a really good facade of I'm respectable. Don't ask me how I got my money.
So does she sometimes move in those circles, in the higher society circles, when she can get to them?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. It's certainly not her usual, but as an occasional luxury, she will.
Nice. Okay. I mean, because to get into some of those places, literally all you need is money, and she can get her hands on that. So nice. Anyone else?
Yeah. Well, my name's Cross Templeton, but I go by Thistle. I'm from Akaros, which has the immortal emperor ruling for like 1,000,000 years, maybe 1,000. I really don't care. I'm a day laborer. I really get by trying to just sink myself into really simple pleasures, because the world outside is so fucking grim and nasty, and the work I do is so awful. The dirt under my nails and the wretch of the ectoplasm that runs from here to there makes me want to barf every day, but I can't. Then people think I'm weak, and now I gotta stab them in the kidney.
Nice.
So there I am. I try to get by with my crew. Try to look out for them. I had a thing for Chael, this thug. They knocked me in the knee once. I got better though. And I know this Sawtooth, this Physica, we get along all right.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so you're so the luxury that you're seeking, do you have specific places that you go, or do you end up in like other parts of town?
I try to go to I try to go to little parlors. Sometimes I try to have like a tea. Sometimes I get shooed out of places because I don't look like the right kind of person. But then I scowl a bit and people tend to leave me alone.
Nice.
I just want something simple. Sometimes it's a tea. Sometimes it's a rub. Sometimes I just want to sit. Because I got this boss. He says, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. God, I hate that.
Yeah.
God, I hate him.
He's the kind of guy that might not be saying that much longer. Gotcha.
Just 2 minutes with a monkey wrench.
Yeah, exactly. It's their fault for giving you the tools. So I dig that. All right. Anyone else?
I can go while Jim is
All right.
still housing this void apple. So my name's Izzy Rail, though most folks know me as Grift. Thing that most people don't realize the amount of work it takes to be a good pickpocket in this city. People don't see that. It's a trade, I've trained my whole life to do this. I've been caught a handful of times, but always managed to weasel my way back out. It's can't say it's an honest living, but it's a hard one. And I'm proud of the work that I do. Not anyone can pull that sort of work off.
Now, as I recall, you sort of have a partner.
Yeah, I mean, no one gets to be best pickpocket in all night market without a little training. So yeah, I had my master Connie taught me everything I know. Used to run quite a few schemes around the district. Of course, sometimes things don't always go that easy, and well, Connie was a great thief, but managed to steal something they really shouldn't have, and didn't quite give it back when they were asked.
Oops.
So yeah, I've got a hold of that little trinket that they stole, but well, Connie's swimming with the eels now.
Oh, yikes! Got it.
Ghosts, but doesn't mean I don't see them anymore. Still wandering around night market from time to time. And
well, that is a fair point. The afterlife is not a thing anymore. So, yeah, there's a lot of ghosts around.
And the thing about a good con is usually it takes more than one person. You got to have one person draw their attention, another person lift something off of them, and well, Connie's still good for their half.
It does seem like ghosts showing up would be a nice distraction. Yeah. Good point. So is Connie's we'll call it absence one of the reasons you hooked up with the current crew?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was easy enough to get by when we had two of us to do jobs, but Connie is a little bit less reliable these days. Can still make some good money with them, but
yeah,
ain't the same.
Gotcha. And after Professor Sharkey introduces himself, we will also figure out exactly how the four of you got together. Not necessarily exactly. Let me rephrase that. We'll figure out generally how the four of you got together, because we don't necessarily need a whole lot of detail. Though, if we come up with it, I'm okay with that. So, Professor, what's your story?
Yeah. Now, bear in mind, I came up with this this guy sometime today, so things are still falling into place, and
Sure.
so there may be bits I need a little help with. But
Well, before you move on, that does bring up an excellent point, because nothing that any of you have done or even put on your character sheets is carved in stone. I'm not going to make you keep it if you don't like it. So just remember that. If you're like, yeah, I don't know why I set my prowl so high. Whatever, we can shift stuff around if we need to. Although I can't imagine that Grift is going to be complaining about prowl, but all right, sorry. Continue.
yo, Professor Olin Sharkey. So Professor Sharkey. So his name is Orlin Sharkey. He used to work at a prestigious institute of learning. I'm not sure how those work in Duskfall because I'm still learning, but myself.
Well, we get to actually. I was going to say we get to decide. You get to decide a lot lot of that because you're the one
excellent.
from one. So whatever makes sense, we can fit that in.
It was the thing. He used to teach a lot of, he used to teach a lot of the, rich folks' kids when it was time to send them to college, that kind of thing. He was a college professor, college level,
Yeah.
whatever the equivalent of that would be, university.
Yeah.
He was a university professor, and he worked in a machine shop. He was he was an engineer.
Mhm.
He taught physics, structural engineering, or things of that nature. And also, to a certain extent, the what is it called? The spark related thing.
Oh
Sparkcraft.
yeah.
Sparkcraft. He taught Sparkcraft.
Ah.
It's and so he had a number of things he was working on sort of in the background, but he was mostly interested in teaching. That was his thing. So he was sometimes occasionally seen wine and dine with the upper echelons of society from time to time. But yeah, then indeed, as predicted, Breaking Bad happened. And it's a funny thing because it was mostly it was a thing that sort of sidled in. It was a surprisingly easy transition. Because after some things that happened. So one of the problems that the faculty had with him, that the other faculty had with him, had to do with the fact that he would not turn people away if they wanted to learn something. This meant that poor people could just show up and ask to sit in on his class, and he'd be fine with it. As long as the any university security didn't like come up or whatever, then it was fine. He didn't care. He made it clear that a lot of his practical courses he open to anybody. He didn't care. They could not get rid of him at that time because he had tenure. So he basically just kept going and doing whatever he wanted. The thing is, unfortunately, it turned out that he was betrayed by a student. And I'm taking one of the things off the list. The enemy I chose, which heavens help us, is there's an occult priestess on the list. The playbook gives them the name Melista.
Right.
And I think so. The thing is that she too was from a rich family, and he gave her a bad grade.
Aha.
She did not pass his course. He told her that, and she had a lot of very, very specific ideas about how she wanted things to work. Somewhat religiously based. Some religion or other. We'll figure out what that is as needed.
Yeah.
But it was a bit of a problem. It's just the question there: to what forgotten god does Melissa give her service? There is there is a bit of that going on in there.
I like it.
And
Good.
so the thing is, it was like he told her at the end, it's like, okay, you can come back and take it again. So you can go back and take it again. It'll be absolutely fine. I will work with you during the interim, if you like, and we'll figure out what we need to do. And she did not want to do that. She wanted quick and easy. So she leveraged both the powers of darkness and what's worse, the powers of her trust fund to finally have him give the other professors the excuse they wanted to kick him out.
Gotcha.
He was disgraced. I don't know exactly what it was that happened. We can figure that out.
We can fill in details later, but yeah, I like it.
He was disgraced. I think that he may have been married, and his wife did not make it after that. I think she perished afterwards for some reason or another. Maybe she needed the health care of some kind that she was not able to get. Or,
yeah, maybe so.
But the thing being that so his wife passed. And the people who lifted him up, the only people who would come to help him, were his other students, the poor students, the ones that he had been teaching for years, for decades. And he had been interacting. He'd become friends with a number of them over time. And, he'd been kind of even a little bit sort of sitting in. He knew, he kind of had the idea, it's okay, yes, I get it. You're doing shady things. You're doing what you have to. I understand.
Right.
I'll help you with this little machine project thing.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, prof, come on. We've got you. We need a machine guy.
Right.
And that's what happened.
Okay, I like that.
He basically ended up working for the underworld.
Yeah. And then
having been somewhat now more radicalized himself against the whole system the full force of it was brought against him.
It does. It does help you choose your targets, I should imagine. So, yeah.
It's like, okay, screw those people.
And this is not something we need to answer immediately, but as we go through this, although if anyone has any ideas, go ahead and shout them out. One of the primary questions that we should answer, whether now or during play, is what was it that brought the four of you together? And because as we begin the first job, which will begin next session, it's not your first job. You have definitely worked together before. Probably, given the fact that you have a reputation already, you've almost certainly worked together a few times before, because other members of the underworld, and not just the underworld, like possibly some of the institutions, etc., are going to know who you are. Now, speaking of reputation, I know we were bouncing a couple of things around. Strange was an option. We had some others that were I think the two I heard were strange and honorable for sure. Anybody have any ideas about which what you want your reputation among the rest of the underworld to be? And another thing to think about is it deserved?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I think those are two very good options. Just from the sound of us, like, I kind of feel like honorable, like, makes some sense.
Yeah, I mean, every single one of you, that does seem to fit, doesn't it? You're right. Yeah. I like that.
Well, especially with the professor. Like,
yeah,
the professor.
Professor's too good for his own good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just consider my trade to be a long and storied tradition.
Absolutely, right.
I'm just trying to have a good meal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's simple.
Yeah.
And actually, honorable fits with simple motives really well, because so yeah, if you want to run with that, it sounds like not only is that your reputation, it is definitely deserved. I think you're doing that, and we can definitely angle things towards that, because there are plenty of people that deserve to have stuff stolen from them in this city. So like there are plenty of people that that is the opinion of a lot of the other people that yeah, that guy doesn't need that thing. Uh, you should send that to someone else, or keep it. All right, I like the honorable thing. And again, we don't have to nail this down, but I am wondering if well, I mean, I just realized what we're essentially doing is Leverage, the TV show, because in a lot of ways, um, they they began well. It began as revenge, and then after that, it became honorable. The very first job they went on was to screw over the guy that had screwed over Nate. But after that, it was entirely for honorable purposes. And I'm not suggesting we go full Leverage, but I kind of like that as a template where and also each of you, like the way you've described what you do seem to be like that level of good at your jobs too, where you actually, like, each of you does take pride in what you're doing. Thistle maybe a little less. That's not true. I feel like Thistle takes pride in it. It's just that's not what I feel like Thistle knows he's good at this. Is that what I'm getting? Yeah, but
Thistle knows he's good.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I want to make the sausage I make, is getting to have tea, getting to have a good meal, getting to have a foot rub.
Yeah. Got it. It's all in service to a different thing, because I mean, you're literally just doing a thing you're good at, like particularly good at. But then again, I think that's all of you. I think everyone's just doing
to be good at breaking ankles, kneecaps, and shivving.
Yeah. And and the other thing that happens to be true is this is the city for it. So it's just there's a lot of that going around. All right, well that works out pretty well. So I think we can move on to more crew stuff. That was actually the first crew question, was what is your reputation? Other than that, we've still got a few other bits to nail down. For example, let me get over here.
Do we want to try and figure out how we know each other a little bit more?
Oh, do that too. Yeah, by all means. Yeah, how if any of you have any ideas how you would have met.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say, I think Weaver is probably the one who would have found all of us.
Yeah.
Oh,
Probably,
well, that's a fair point. Yeah. You're right. Weaver's the one with the connections. Good call.
Yeah. I think for Izzy, I want to say that Weaver had possibly been working with Connie for a little while, of like, oh, hey, this might be a good target, and kind of met Izzy through Connie initially. And then once they were no longer easily available for jobs, but Weaver still had need of someone with that skill set, Izzy became her go-to.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I like in my head imagine that Connie is definitely like the one who's more well connected. Like I've got some street level contacts or whatever, but Connie was the one who had those relationships first. And I think also because Connie was killed, and I have this object that I haven't defined yet that is owned by someone. It's some faction wants this thing back still.
Yeah.
And you were maybe the person who suggested that Connie steal it. Like I want to find out who this person is and find them. Like that's like a long-term project for me personally, is like get back at them.
Ooh, nice. Okay. I like that. That's fun. I feel like Weaver has probably been working with Thistle for a long time. Just they've done several jobs previously. You always need a cutter. Like, so I feel like at first it was very much just a job. But then in Hollow, you can countermand me here. Perhaps Weaver and Thistle went out for tea one day. You know, like a fancy British high tea kind of thing.
Yeah.
Of like,
yeah.
and just like enjoyed the luxury together and realized, oh, we have this in common.
This is nice.
I have. I imagine one of you is carrying the conversation a little bit more than the other, but that's exactly what both of you want.
Oh yeah. Yep, this is very nice.
I like that. Yeah, so yeah, that's a good point. Did you find out what Thistle likes and then invite him to tea, or did you catch him already having tea and kind of
I think Weaver would have said, "Oh, this is a, celebration after having succeeded at some job
nice.
or other,"
Okay.
and probably have asked, "We have all earned a treat. Like, what would you like?"
Oh, very good. Okay. I like that a lot.
It's like, I want to go there, and I like point somewhere up the hill. I want cucumber sandwiches, tea.
Right, and
darling,
the tea
we can
needs
do
to be
that.
from like one of the other countries. Like definitely imported from. We'll figure out. We'll look at the map. One of the other Shattered Isles. The tea comes in from there.
All right.
Yeah. Other than that, he just works at like the ectoplasm factory. Like
Yeah.
There's an ectoplasm factory.
Yeah. So in Blades in the Dark, depending on where you are, there are walls that keep out the dead, and they are powered by ectoplasm. These lightning walls. It's real messed up.
Yeah, and some of the
Electroplasm.
Yes, electroplasm.
Yeah,
right.
From the blood of giant sea demons.
Yes.
Yeah, the majority of it comes from the blood of giant sea demons, but the rest of it comes from eel farms.
Yes.
And I love that detail, that an entire chunk of the city is devoted to eel farms. Because I feel like a lot of kind of sort of the low level, just general electricity of the city comes from that. And then the really high-powered, high-octane stuff comes from the sea demons, also known as leviathans. So,
so I just work at the electroplasm plant, just raking muck and making sure it all goes through the pipes.
love it.
Nice.
Which also, I bet, gives you the opportunity to know to pick up some ideas of some new jobs, because people talk when they're at work, and on top of that, workers like Thistle are invisible, and sometimes people forget not to say certain things because they don't realize that the guy working on the street light is able to hear them. So yeah, I like that a lot. So Professor, how do you figure you got hooked up with any of these people?
No. There are a few different possibilities. I probably know somebody that they know, at least, if unless someone wants to have been a former student,
also possible, yeah.
which is a possibility as well, if you want to do that. So I mean, that's a possibility. I think a lot of it was just sort of getting hooked up, and that's the thing is, the funny thing is, he's still teaching. He just is doing it with the urchins now.
Yeah.
So
he's only teaching the poor people now.
Yeah.
Although
So
I guess if some rich person showed up, he wouldn't kick them out. So
not really,
Yeah.
not necessarily, but although
I think
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I think I would have, if not known you, then like heard of you because I know like a lot of street urchins, and if they're going to your classes, they're going to need materials to build illicit things, and
Yeah.
I probably would have helped them steal them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very
So
likely.
like
That makes
I
a lot of
was,
sense.
yeah, I was like just like unscrewing light bulbs or whatever on like the plasma lamps or whatever when no one's looking, and stuff like that for them.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, so like I said, you've definitely been in some jobs before. Enough for the people that are paying attention to have pegged you as honorable. Um, if you're ready, the next thing we can move on to discussing is where your lair is. And I posted a list of the different districts, excuse me, over on Discord with short descriptions of each. But if you need to see those, they are on page 22 of the player kit handout also that we've been looking at. And also, page 22 of it comes with a pretty handy map. So one thing to contemplate, though, is, well, first off, as shadows, you automatically have a hidden lair, which means that the entrance to it is not only the entrance, but the location is extremely well concealed. It's going to take even people that are dedicated to trying to find out where your lair is, it's going to take them a lot of effort to uncover your lair. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but it is you are very good at concealing where your hideout is. Another thing is we need to establish where your hunting grounds are. They are not necessarily in the same district as your lair. They can be, but just letting you know that you can make two choices on that as well. And if anybody has any questions, has everybody got the list in one way or the other that you can look at? Okay. So if you have any questions about those, first off, we can make up whatever we want. So if any detail on anything that is in the book doesn't fit with how you want to play your crew, we change it to whatever it is that works best for you. There is a section of the book that has more detail about these, but really, I mean, those descriptions are I feel like those are enough to get you going. But if you have any questions or if, like, also consider where your characters might have originally been from, as far as these districts go. You might, or just a place that you happen to spend a lot of time, even if you're not originally from there. So think about those and where you might be the most active. But also, like, which one you feel makes the most sense to be your headquarters, really.
I had a thought and a question.
Okay.
Would Weaver have some kind of contact to help her launder money?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like our like default money laundering contact would probably be in like the Charterhall area.
That does make sense. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that feels like the right combination of stuff, because not only are there a lot of very handy storefronts that could be actual fronts for whatever you want to do, but yeah, the fact that the civic offices are there too, nailed
Yeah.
it. Okay, yeah. So we'll figure out whether that is one of the okay. So just like for your characters, you also will pick out a primary contact from the list of stuff on the shadow sheet. But whether or not the your money launderer happens to be your primary contact, we will also, when the time is necessary, we'll also establish who that is and what they do and what that's like. So I like that. is definitely, if nothing else, yeah, I feel like Weaver spent some time in Charterhall.
Yeah.
Um,
Not
Charterhall
if
is
you
the
want to put the
university.
is
Yeah.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
So
So I have a personal goal of eating at a restaurant in White Crown, because that's
yeah,
where
you do.
that's where I get kicked out of all the time. Like, I've been in Brightstone, but I want to eat in White Crown.
Yeah, that's your okay.
It's my white whale.
That's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
kind of place that probably has like 2 restaurants total, and it's just for royalty.
Oh
Right.
yeah, but
I
you
wanna
are
eat
yeah.
there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, that's an excellent point. I'm glad you pointed out that Charterhall has the university. So that's probably where the professor taught.
Yeah.
I've already said my personal hunting grounds has been Night Market. I grew up living like in the rail yards there.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't say this. I'm Tekarosi, which is like it's like the far off land where they say people are descended from demons.
Oh, do you have a telltale physical
I
like
do.
okay, what is it? I want to know.
I don't have ears. I've got like just holes in the side of my
Nice.
head, basically.
Got
I
it.
tend to wear beanies to like cover it up. But if
Cool.
you look closely, you notice, and it's a little unsettling.
Yeah, it would be. I like that. That's I love that actually. That's great.
But yeah, so the Night Market is where I spend most of my time. I probably pop over to Six Towers at Charterhall or the neighboring
Mhm.
districts from time to time for jobs or
Yeah.
contacts or whatever. But yeah.
Oh, and this is an excellent point. Just because your headquarters is in one district, you personally might live in another one. No reason that no reason you have to live in your HQ. Although feel free if you want to. So that is a good point. So yeah, I have a feeling you still got. I don't know. Griff seems like the kind of person that would have multiple places in Night Market that that they could stay.
Yeah, I know a few places.
Yeah.
There's abandoned apartments, there's rooftops. But I think most of my time is probably in the rail yard itself, where there's plenty of train cars.
Oh, totally got it. Okay.
That are open.
And the rail yard is where a lot of stuff comes into the city. So
yeah,
a lot of
including
stuff,
me once upon a time,
including you. It's a lot of stuff that people might want to steal. So very good. Okay.
I had just a minor as far as my character goes. I think that he was maybe as far as I think he was living in Six Towers.
Okay.
And hopping over to where was it, the Charterhall, or over to teach.
Right.
And I think that is there lore about how long ago it was that Six Towers began its decline?
Not that I know of, so we can make it up.
Because I was having the interesting thematic thoughts that it declined at the same time he did.
I like it. That'd be great. Nothing wrong with that.
And so it was a thing where it's like he's still there, but the neighborhoods are not what they used to be, and he's not living in the same kind of place he was living before. Obviously, he's a lot of time he's either on the street or very close to it, but he might have been he's probably living in like an old apartment that he or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Or that he had been from time to time. I know the place he had became too big at one point because when he lost his wife.
Right.
And so it's just but he kind of it's like still is able to leverage to a certain extent the neighborhoods that he knew, to sort of still get around in if need be.
Makes sense. Okay, I
and
like that a lot.
Being between a lot of the places we've been talking about probably helps too.
Fair point. Yeah, the map does help with some of this because you've got an idea of the relationships between each one, which I really like. And then yeah, of course, look how hard it is to get to White Crown. That's I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's intentional.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like there's the bridge, or you could take a boat. maybe you don't want to take a boat. Just saying. Because the closer you get to the ocean,
With the
though,
Leviathans in it.
yeah,
No, that's
though,
within the lightning barrier.
yeah, I was gonna say, though, the lightning barrier does actually keep the Leviathans out. It doesn't keep everything out, and there's a lot of stuff in the water that will kill you too. So let's see. It's a bad place. Everything is bad. It's not Warhammer 40K bad, but it's still pretty bad. All right. So yeah. Do you have any thoughts about whether you want your lair and your hunting grounds to be in the same place? Your hunting grounds as a crew.
My suggestion, and we can totally nix this, is that the lair itself is probably in Charterhall area, and our hunting grounds might be in the night market.
I agree with that. I'm curious what our like completely perfectly concealed lair is in Charterhall, the
Oh yeah.
like civic district.
What does it
It
look
is-
like? Is
It
it?
looks like an accountant's office.
Oh, I
It's
love
just
it. It does.
full of like records and ledgers.
So that's an excellent point because like when I see somebody setting up like a new business like in real life and I go by it, I'm like, oh, what's going to be there? Maybe it'll be something cool. And then later on they put up a sign that's like, it's a bank. This is exactly it. You've made it a place that no one will ever go in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's our money laundering contact who's at the front of
Right.
the door, and we just go past him and like through some filing cabinets to
I
the
love that.
real office.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
So your money laundering contact is doing legit work, like doing actual accounting work.
Yes.
And then basically gets to live there rent free because the building is actually yours. I like that. That works. All right. So
It
yeah,
can
unless
never
anybody-
be audited by the IRS.
right. Yeah, there is one of the factions that is basically the IRS.
Oh my God.
That yeah. The IRS in this setting. Just I'm gonna
This is
leave that.
this is
out
a
there
perfect
without-
time of year to start this campaign.
Oh, yeah, well. Sorry about that. Yeah,
My-
didn't mean to. We should have put
taxes
that
are
up. We should have
done.
put that on the content warnings. But all right, so I like that. Yeah, Charterhall is your lair, night market is your hunting grounds. So the next thing we need to figure out about the hunting grounds, though, is that a couple of let me get over here. Here we go. A couple of factions are, well, actually, in this case, it's only one faction, really. One of the factions helped you one of the factions may have helped you establish your hunting grounds. So if you look on page 12, I'm talking about step 3 in the crew creation. Page 12 of the player kit. So there is a faction that already claims that area as the area. It doesn't have to be the whole district, but you are operating in another faction's turf, basically. So you can right now, by the way, you as a crew have 2 coin. So you can pay them 1 coin and you're fine. You can pay them 2 coins, get +1 status with them, which means they are friendly to you and did probably assist you in some manner. Or you could pay them, you don't pay anything and they do not like you and you're in their turf and they hate the fact that you're operating in their turf. And now, as we play, there are different ways that status can go either direction. So really the question here is, do you well, okay, actually it's a couple of questions because step 5, you might notice, also gives you the opportunity to spend some coin. You are not required to. There are other ways to get your this is when we start talking about upgrades. And in that case, that is a faction actually helped you. It doesn't have to be the faction that you're talking about here. In fact, it's usually better if it's not. So that way you've got relationships with more than one faction. But if you spend all of your coin on getting +1 status in step 3, you are not going to have any coin to get boosted status with whoever helped you in step 5, which means chances are you're going to have negative status with someone. It's just, do you want it to be the one in whose turf you're operating, or do you want it to be someone else? And different ways to do relationships between that. Maybe the one, like if you decide you want a negative status with your the one in whose turf you're operating, which is pay nothing, get -1 status. Maybe the faction that helped you get the upgrade also did so to kind of stick a thumb in the eye of the faction that's, they're like, haha, we're going to help you set up over here, and then you can screw with those guys. Or do you want to have made nice with your neighbors? Is kind of the way it works.
Do we know who our neighbors are?
We haven't decided yet, but we can consult the list of factions, which let's see. Those are also on. Here we go, page 21, which is just one page up from the list of districts. This is only a list of names, but it gives you a pretty good idea of what they are and what they do. The most obvious ones would be some of the other, especially in Night Market. Night Market would definitely lean more heavily towards underworld factions, but it doesn't have to. It could be anything that makes sense for you. For example, I mean, I'm sure Thistle has people that he knows in almost any of the labor and trade factions. And each of you would have people that you would know and could have gotten an in with, like the institutions for the professor for obvious reasons, different things like that. So I do have some details about them, and also if you happen to have the core book, those are on. The actual descriptions are on page 283 of the core book. But if you have any questions about those, I can look up what it says in the book, or like I said, we can just make up. We can make up what it seems like they ought to be like.
Can you tell us what the tiers mean?
Yes. Right now you are tier 0, and the higher the tier number, the more powerful the faction is. Mechanically, it means that you will have a tougher time going up against a faction that is significantly higher than you are. You will suffer some penalties, and they will definitely have advantages against acting against you. There are plenty of ways to mitigate that. In fact, there were some. I don't know that the crews have any, but I do know that the playbooks, I think each playbook might have something that basically says you can ignore tier when you do this thing. So if you don't have it now, it's a thing that you could pick up later. I know Lurk does, because there's one that, like, if we're playing it by the book, let's say you're going up against, like, you're still tier 0 as a crew, and you're going up against like a tier 3 place, or a place owned by a tier 3 faction. It's going to be really difficult for you to pick that lock unless you get you ignore tier when you pick locks, or when you do cool sneaky stuff. But having said that, there are other ways to narrow the gap between you and that. But anyway, that's basically what the tiers are. generally speaking, you don't want to go directly up against any of the tier 3 or 4 while you are still tier 0. But you could be friends with them, or enemies if you want to make the game real exciting. So, and the blue coats over in institutions, that's the City Watch. They are, I mean, honestly,
Cops.
yeah, they're cops. They're just another gang. They just happen to have governmental backing. Oh, just like real life. So,
So they're
Uh,
cops.
never mind. Yeah,
That's what I
sorry.
said.
Speedy said
Were we
cops.
supposed to provide
yeah,
a trigger warning for that?
yeah, probably.
It's fun because
It's in
there is.
the it's
Yeah.
in the content warnings.
Yeah. It actually is. Yeah.
It's funny, there is another faction called the Gray Cloaks, which are former Bluecoats who turned to crime, which is funny because the Bluecoats also do crime.
But yeah,
It's just like this is just a faction of the Bluecoats that happen to piss off the ones in charge of those Bluecoats.
yeah.
The ones that stand out to me are just for like Charterhall, the Church of the Ecstasy of the Flesh,
Yeah.
which is the state religion and a secret society.
That sounds more like a Silk Shore thing than a Charterhall thing.
I guess that's fair. I'm just thinking because this is where government is. This is
Yeah,
it's the
Oh,
quote unquote state religion.
that's a fair point. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
We're now. Are we picking for a gang that's in where our offices or where our hunting grounds are?
I think it's actually hunting grounds. Let me double check.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's it was. I just want to make sure I'm starting to look at the right
No,
thing.
Good point.
It is. Yeah, this will be hunting grounds. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
this
But there are a lot of
is-
opportunities here with for night market because of things going in and out a lot.
Yeah.
But you have a good point. We don't have to decide it now, but at some point it would be a good idea to figure out which faction runs the place where you have your lair too. Your lair
Yeah.
is so well hidden they almost certainly don't know you're there. But it would be a good idea to at some point, like when it comes up, and if it's important to the story, we'll go, oh yeah, that's those people.
Mhm.
And for that matter, let me see. No, that's good. But yeah, if your hunting grounds are in a certain area, you definitely need to, in some manner, deal with the group that runs that.
Yeah.
All right, so let me get back over here. Here we go.
So I was leaning towards paying the 1 coin so that we're not on bad terms with whomever
Just make it
we're sharing
even, yeah.
space with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking through the list, this is just going off the name. I don't have any details for these groups. I kind of want to know what lamp blacks are.
Okay, the Lamp Blacks are a gang. They would have been a crew that started off like you guys, really, but they are literally the former Lamplighter Guild. And then when the electroplasmic lights came in, they all lost their jobs, and so basically just turned to crime.
Yeah. They're Luddites.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
I think the Hive is probably like the most active in night market. They're the merchant guild, basically.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
true. And they would be
secretly
a
trading
really
contraband.
powerful one to at this point, like if you're just going with a neutral one, that's fine. And you
Yeah.
can improve that later. Or, it can go bad. They but that would be fine.
Powerful allies. Yes,
Yeah.
we should
Very
make
powerful
powerful
allies. Well,
allies.
and
Good
you're
defense,
exactly
good
right.
information.
And they would probably be a source of a lot of jobs because, as it says, they secretly trade in contraband. You got to have someone to go get that contraband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
like that.
So they might be, yeah. And if you want to be on, in this case, if you're paying the 1 coin, I mean, that still counts as on good terms with them. You're not, then you would be like 0 status with them, which is fine. And if you wanted to stick with that, they would definitely because you have paid the coin, you've essentially sort of made your presence known. And coin in this case is a general term, which means maybe in some way you gave them something they wanted. You may have stolen something they wanted and just gone, hey, look at us, we can steal things. And they're like, yes, stealing is wrong, and we will be in touch with you later. But
Stealing is wrong.
yes,
We want to hire you to steal stuff.
yeah, exactly. And please give us your contact information. So yeah, the hive would be an excellent way to do it, which means we get to determine what the hive is and how they operate. I like that one. If everyone's good with that, we can stick with hive and then move on to the next bit. And in this case, it is the special ability. So the special abilities are on the shadows.
Noctua was going to say something.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Before you go on, just one headcanon about the hive.
Yes.
I'd like to think that they are eerily synchronized.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, that's great.
Like the name. I love it.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Hang on. Let me make a note so I don't forget to do that. That is good. Yeah.
It does say they are named for their symbol, a golden bee.
Yeah. And maybe it's not just a symbol. All right. Okay, so also I need to note that the hive runs, and in this case, the hive is big enough they might legitimately claim the whole district because they are that big.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just going to say they run night market.
It says that they are known to avoid doing business with any occult or arcane groups.
Okay. And I wonder why.
Suits me fine.
The church
Yeah, it
of
does.
ecstasy is popular among them.
We got to figure out because that could go one of multiple directions as to why. All right, so they run night market. They let's see, your crew is on you've got 0 status with them right now. And there's a whole faction sheet that we'll fill out as your relationships to different factions move back and forth. All right, so keep in mind that you now have 1 coin, and that'll come up when we do the upgrades.
Yeah, so we've paid the coin to get the +1. Is that what happened?
Well, you've paid the coin to get 0. It's actually what you've done. Yeah.
Oh.
You've paid a coin to have 0 status with
to have them not hate us.
Right.
Okay. Oh, that's right. That's how that works. Okay, yeah.
Now, the good news is that because they are almost certain to hire you for stuff, you are quite likely to rise in status with them. And as has been pointed out, they are good friends to have. All right, so 0, and they are weirdly in sync. I love that.
Just don't eat the jelly.
Right. Okay, nice one. Okay. Do we want to do special ability next?
Sure.
All right, so special ability, does everyone have access to a shadow sheet somewhere?
Yes.
Okay, so it's in that gray section of the shadow sheet, or if you happen to be over on Roll20, it's on there too. But if you want to just check page 17 over on the player kit, that is your list of special abilities. And this is the one that your entire crew has, meaning if you pick that, everyone in the crew has access to that special ability. The only one you won't be able to choose is veteran, because that's a thing for later, and also it costs 2 and you only have 1. The first one up there, everybody steals. It literally means that you get to add 1 dot to either prowl, finesse, or tinker, and each of you can choose which one you want to bump up, because it makes a lot more sense for the leech to bump up tinker, and for not telling you how to do this or to choose it, just letting you know. You don't have to choose the same one. Each of you may choose one of those 3. If you're for some reason already at 3 in a thing, you can't bump it up to beyond 3 during this part of the game, though. Also, I mean, there's not a bad one. It's just kind of how you want to run the crew and what you see as being your what you want your specialty to be. Also, as you get experience, the crew gets experience points too, which means you will be able to choose other special abilities during play. And it all comes up. It runs fairly quickly. I mean, we're not going to do a whole lot of jobs because I don't think. I mean, let me rephrase that. I'd love to play a whole lot of sessions, but I'm not sure we all have the time for that. So, given the amount of sessions, I feel like we're all going to be able to do. You will get enough experience points for sure to at least get one advancement, maybe even two. And that'll be, like I said, that's for your characters as well as the crew. So you're not. This isn't the only one you're gonna get. Oh, and another thing we did not choose that we need to. Is it on here? Yes. So if you're looking at the sheet, and again, we don't have to decide this right now, but it is something to think about. When you get look under the crew XP section, under the full gray block where it says hunting grounds, you will also, as a crew, need to choose one of those four job types. So burglary, espionage, robbery, or sabotage to specialize in. And that doesn't mean it's the only thing you're going to do. It just means that when you do that in your hunting grounds, you get bonuses.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier. Mostly, it's easier to set up that job. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to get information about that, and so you're going to go into it better prepared. So, also something to think about while you're doing these.
Yeah, I think any of these look good to me. I'm looking at like the ones that jump out at me, and unfortunately, the way my brain works, a lot of them jump out at me at first. So I can only eliminate half of them right now.
They're actually all pretty good. Yeah. So.
I like Everyone Steals. I like Pack Rats. I like Patron. I like Second Story, and I like Slippery. But I think any of those would be fine for the way we've described our crew.
Got it.
What do you folks think?
And if anyone has any questions about the terms that are in this, feel free to ask.
I was also looking at Everyone Steals looks like a good option.
It's pretty solid, yeah.
I also like Slippery. I was looking at Patron, but I don't know if we've introduced any backstory elements or story elements about having a patron. So that's a question for the crew.
Yeah.
To some extent, the Hive could be considered your patron, or you could, if you wanted to consolidate, you could have a specific official within the Hive to be your patron if you wanted to work it that way, or come up with anything. It doesn't matter. Patron's a patron, but I was just, since you've already established something with them, that is something to think about.
Yeah, I'm feeling either Everyone Steals or Slippery. That's what I'm feeling. I don't know about you. I don't know about you, Speedy.
I like Slippery just because I think it's more interesting than adding one dot to something.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but
it's nice to be able to reduce heat.
It's very useful.
It's extremely useful, and what I was going to say is that does seem to fit with the stuff that you've all been talking about with the way your crew runs, because you've already got the hidden lair. You're already spread out into different parts of society. It makes sense that you would be Slippery, and being able to choose your entanglements, meaning the way I like to run that is if you get to choose your entanglements, that means both of them technically came up, but you were able to dodge one.
Mm-hmm.
So you were like, you could see it coming, and you were able to. You could describe how it is, like you may have literally physically hidden from it, whatever works. So I agree. I think Slippery would be a lot of fun to play, and on the Game Master side, it'd be a lot of fun to run. And yeah, you'll build up heat a lot less. Well, yeah, you will build up heat less quickly, which is good because you're guaranteed for it to help in some manner. So yeah, that's actually pretty good.
All right.
All right.
Sounds
Yeah.
slippery.
I'm
All
sold.
right. I think you're a slippery crew. I like it. All right, I'm going to mark that over on the sheet before I forget you said that, and then we will. And while I'm doing that, you can discuss which of the job types you want to specialize in, and also I need to. The crew upgrades are in two different places, unfortunately. So the thing to remember is, hang on, I've got to find those. Here we go. Okay, so there is a list of crew upgrades on the shadow sheet that is specific to the shadows. And then there is a list of general crew upgrades that is over on page 12 on the crew creation summary. So all crews can choose from the things on page 12, but only shadows have access to the ones over on page 17 on your sheet.
One minor thought I have is that since we're getting close to halftime, do we want to, in a little bit, go ahead and take a break and then maybe start looking at some of the things that
This might be a good time for it now because we are at we're literally between two things.
Yeah.
So do we want to take a few minutes out and then we'll come back and look at the rest of it?
Sure.
I like it. Okay.
Would you like me to throw an interview in, or shall we just go to the break screen?
Your call, man. It's your show.
Right. I know. There's timing. I'll go ahead and throw an interview in.
Okay.
So this is actually the same interview that got played on Alas for the Angry Void, but it's relevant to a thing that happened recently, a campaign on another channel.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in, and we will be back in a little bit. See you folks shortly. Welcome to the break. I have Dee with me, and we're going to talk about a game, a very specific game. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for having me back, Jim. I appreciate it.
Yay! So as of this recording, it's been not too terribly long since a campaign of yours that you have been streaming ended. You've been streaming on your channel, Praxagorth Esmophoria.
Mm-hmm.
And that game is called Carousel Court. For folks who may not be familiar, tell us a little bit about this game.
So Carousel Court is a game that, as I pitched to my players and everyone who participated tangentially in this game, it is a Southern Gothic urban fantasy set in a subdivision of Savannah, Georgia, spanning the year 1945 to the year 2000. And each of the players would be playing a house or family in this subdivision, and we would see the transition of over time of these relationships on a small micro level in this subdivision play out and how those things happen. And the bigger thing is the concept that the supernatural exists and all of human history is the same publicly up until 1941, when the advent of World War II is just so much that the supernatural can no longer hide. Just the embedded reporting, the mass shift, the way in which the world changed because of what happens during World War II. And how does that public appearance of the supernatural change the world and then also change the lives of these particular families? And to do that, I combined 2.5 different systems.
Yes. Which systems did you cannibalize for this?
So the majority of it is taken. The house system is taken from Swords Chronicle. The individual player individual members of the house were all also from Swords Chronicle, which is Green Ronin Press's setting agnostic system. I really like it for a bunch of things. I then took the Pendragon current edition. I think it's the 6th, whatever the current edition of Pendragon is, and used it for the generational mechanics. Pendragon is really great at showcasing because you're playing a knight, but you're also playing all of the descendants of that knight in that noble household. So you kind of have this generational shift in how the effects of what the previous generations did affect the current generation.
Cool.
And then I took luck mechanics from Call of Cthulhu because I needed for certain things.
Yes. Yeah, certain things would happen as because, well, look, this was a massive project. I need to that I need to make sure folks understand here. This project had a lot of moving parts to it. You had world building streams. You had folks. You had folks coming on doing news recordings, and to sort of set the era. You pulled in a lot of different folks for all of these different things. And I just wonder, how did you decide who to reach out to for these different parts of the project?
Some of it was just people. I'm really lucky in people who I know and who can do things. When it came to like for houses for the NPCs, I'm like, okay, I need to populate an entire subdivision in Savannah. That would be a hell of a lot for me. But I know some really great storytellers and people like that. I can have them come on and we can do this as if they were creating an NPC have them create these NPC house and then give me this little bit of thing. It also gave me a way to create a more diverse NPC cast in a way that was very authentic. I reached out to people like DM Jazzy Hands and Arvandus and Cypher of Tyr, and a bunch of other people to kind of give this lived-in experience and understanding of certain things that I can't necessarily understand or experience. But at the same time, it really brought interesting dynamics to the world. Even if you didn't see everything that those characters were doing, like my good friend Pooja, I was like, look, Pooja, can you come here? I want to introduce a South Indian subcontinent family. Let's have some fun with this. Or, and so it was a very kind of interesting mix and dynamics, and it meant that I had a lot of notes about making this world feel more lived in, and again, it's Savannah based on as it currently is, but the history has changed because of these supernatural beings that do exist. And so there was a lot of that going on at the same time. And then I was like, oh, wait, I know some really great people who do really great voiceover work. Not voiceover work, but like you, Jim, thank you again for agreeing to do a couple of those news recordings. Chris Geary did a couple. I also reached out to Painting Pirate, Chris Canese, for the British when we got to the assassination of John Kennedy. Needed to see a bunch of these things. And then I had, so those were pieces that were happening. And then there were a bunch of other people that I was just like, hey, can you, I want to do this thing. Let's do this thing and see what happens. And as I've been saying to a lot of people, it's a very indie art house TTRPG experience.
Yeah, definitely. And you had Hawkeye doing commercials from like Hawkeye every era.
Hawkeye was like, I want to do this. And I was like, I will happily let you. Do you want it? Cool. And then that also led to a lot of conversation between us about, well, what other things history had changed. Like, okay, you've got magical users who can do a lot of things. Yeah, I'm sure they can make you some kind of tobacco that isn't going to be harmful to your health.
Yeah.
What does that change in history? And what is that, marketing arrangement going to be? And then Hawkeye did a brilliant job with all of them. And then halfway through, he started getting his daughter into doing a couple of the voices. And Bonnie just knocked it out of the park. They're absolutely fabulous. Yeah. And I think that they did a brilliant job between them.
Yeah. Great. No, that's just so I made sure I say this. It's KY Hawkeye, Kentucky Hawkeye, who also streams.
Yeah.
A lot of us also basically a lot of the folks do that were pulled from the streaming world. I know that I will say that there was one point in one of our recordings that we started talking about lore and got way up into the trees. And, it's.
I mean, like there are things that none of the there are things that none of the players are ever going to see that I know about that affected the world because I made each of these decisions for each of the. We would do these time skips, and we would do like 1945 to 1948, then 52, 55, 58, 62, 65, 68, 72, et cetera, and that meant that you were jumping between 2 and 3, or about 3 to 5 years each time, right? 3 or 4 years each time. And because of that, I needed to know effects, like what would have happened on the world stage, but that doesn't necessarily mean it would affect the players on the small scale, right? Unless it seriously did affect them. And so a lot of the stuff that happened in the background, I would be talking with the opera geek, Kelly. And I'd be like, hey, what do we do about this? And she goes, no, we should do this. And I was like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. And if we take that, we should go over here. And so it really was a benefit to kind of bounce think about these in progression, but then also bounce them off of people at the time. And thank you for your assistance in that.
I'm very pleased that we developed an entire strange history that involved for the character that I portrayed, and that we have just somehow in that timeline utterly disrupted Tom Brokaw's life, probably. But just given the placement of everything, I don't know. He's probably okay. I don't know.
He's fine.
He's fine. But there's so much. There was so much. But what? Lest we get up into the trees again, I do want to ask. Also, or rather, I will say, not too long ago before this conversation, I was chatting with Pope, who was one of your players, and I sort of hinted that I may be asking you some questions in a bit. And one of the things also that he wanted me to make sure that I asked about here, Savannah. What led you to choose Savannah? Do you have a particular history with it? Why Savannah?
I did live in Atlanta for a long period of time. A lot of people might know that. I did live in Atlanta. I no longer do, but I did. I know a lot of people in Savannah. One of my good friends from college in Atlanta, her family had land on Tybee. Let me rephrase that. Let me repeat that. Her family had land on Tybee. For those of you who don't know, Tybee is the barrier island. That's the beach island off of Savannah, and is mostly home now to a bunch of like high-end resorts, hotels, lots of serious money. So I knew a lot about Savannah, but it was also one of the things that I was kind of having as this touchstone media that I was consuming to consider, right? Because there's a very particular type of Southern Gothic and in urban. There are two types of urban fantasy in my mind. There's Southern Gothic, and then there's very metro, kind of Chicago-y, slightly New York, big city kind of northern city urban fantasy. Not a lot of urban fantasy on the West Coast kind of oriented, but a lot of it like that Southern Gothic and whatever. And so I was like, okay. So I was going through and rewatching, and this whole thing actually started because I was, had a brilliant idea, and then I talked to people at 2:00 in the morning, and that brilliant idea became more complicated. But then like my touchstone theme and vibes came from rewatching 4 things. Steel Magnolias, because of just the progression of time and how those characters, like, that each of the times you see these characters that they've changed and aged, but you know that these have been year jumps, but you don't necessarily need to know what has happened in those years because you know what's focused on these particular moments. And those particular moments are telling this story, right? Like, and you're like, why is she, whatever, I'm here for it. And it worked. So you got Steel Magnolias. Then you've got, one of my other favorite films, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, which is just a vibe of how things worked. It's also a very interesting look. It's like, okay, this is this is a real thing that happened. Like this story actually happened. Oh yeah, and by the way, he went on trial for the same murder 4 times.
Yeah.
And was finally acquitted for liability. Okay. That's a thing. So I was thinking about excuse me. So I was thinking about where would it be interesting to set this kind of urban fantasy? And I had previously done a Vampire the Masquerade game set in New York. I was like, okay, so I don't want to do a big city or northern urban center kind of game. And I want to do something that's very much a city, but you can still have bounded suburbs. And I wanted a building development that you could go from 1945 to 2000. So I was like, okay, well, in that case, I'm going to go Southern Gothic because I really like the, Interview with a Vampire, the Vampire Lestat, that kind of vibe tied to, Midnight of Garden Good and Evil, Steel Magnolias, all that kind of stuff. And all of that kind of was Savannah. I was like, we're just going to go to Savannah. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And I think it worked out beautifully. This was a lot of fun to watch. And I'm very honored to have gotten a chance to participate in it. And I really urge folks to go and check it out. If folks want to find this campaign that you that you and all of these folks put together, where should they go?
You can go on my YouTube at Praxagora Thesmiophoria on YouTube. It is a playlist. You can even start with the original house building and go all the way through the year 2000. The only episode that is not currently up is 1972. It is currently being worked on because editing software hates me.
Yes.
But hopefully it will be up there eventually. And they're in order and labeled. But I think it's a very interesting experience, and I appreciate everyone who is a part of it.
Awesome. Well, was there anything else you wanted to let us know before we dive off?
You can find me streaming every Saturday on my channel on Twitch for book clubs every week, where we talk about the books that I've been reading, and also we're doing a read along of the Cotton Malone series by Steve Berry and the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. And you can also find me on Sunday nights, where I stream my own TTRPGs, depending on whether it's streaming. Always streaming games. It's fun.
Yes. Excellent. Well, thank you all very much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and throw things back to my future self, whatever he's up to. But thanks so much for hanging out with us. Take care. We will see you all of a sudden. Hello, we have returned, and we're busily sorting out the details of our of this step of the creation of our crew. Where are we? What are we doing?
We're on assigning crew upgrades. And while we were off the air, there was some talk about workshop. I think everybody liked the idea of workshop, largely because you got a leech, and that'd be a great place for said leech to do some work. However, I will point out it is not restricted to just the leech doing stuff. If anyone else has any, like as we're playing, if you're like, I'm at the workshop doing a thing, that works too. In fact, it's a really good place for long-term projects. If they, even if you're not a leech, you can do stuff in the workshop. So, because it is for the crew, meaning anything that you can reasonably assume would be available there, we can work it out. All right. So actually, you have 3 upgrades. You have Hidden Lair, you have Prowess Training, and you have Workshop right now. So you need to choose one more, and then once you've done that, we can figure out which faction helped you get one of your upgrades, any one of the 4, and then which faction was harmed when you got a different upgrade. And you can spend a coin to move those up and down too. But we'll get to that when we decide what your other upgrade is. Anybody got any ideas for what your 4th one's going to be?
Do we still like the idea of the underground maps and passkeys? Is that a thing that we feel or are feeling right now, or is that like a future thing rather than a current thing? Do we think?
I mean, I think it's good for now. I mean, unless anyone has any other better ideas.
Can't really think of anything better than that.
Yeah.
All right. It will.
We talked about
I-
cohorts. I don't know if there's
Boathouse is always an option.
particular
but-
ideas.
No.
I feel like
Um,
I've got enough happening with just my character that I don't want to try and keep track of a cohort right now.
Yeah.
Perhaps later in the game, but
yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll get XP. You'll get XP later, and if you want to add any of this stuff, you'll definitely be able to.
Mm.
All right, so it looks like we're looking at underground maps and passkeys, hidden lair, workshop, and prowess training, all of which are pretty good. Oh, and I forgot to mark off one of your coins. Let me take care of that. All right, so you are at 1 coin, and going into this is the information that you need to know going into the next part of step 5, which is one faction helped you get an upgrade. Take +1 status with them. You don't have to spend the coin for that. You will just take +1 status with a faction, or spend a coin for +2 status instead.
I had an idea for that.
All right.
If we're talking about the workshop, as I was looking over the factions, and I saw one that drew my eye. Let me grab my note here. Was the Circle of Flame.
I was also thinking about the circles.
Nice. Okay, we may have a winner then if 2 of you were on the same track with that.
As I was seeing that, and I was like, it's basically a bunch of academics and scholars, things of that nature, right?
Right.
Yeah, but weird ones.
okay,
Yes.
you have my vote. Yep.
Yep, go ahead.
Well, that was easy. All right. So the Circle of Flame is the one that helped you get the workshop.
Yeah, Secret Society of Antiquarians and Scholars. Cover for extortion, graft, vice, and murder. I should point out, but
yeah, so they probably want to see what you can do for them in that workshop. A famous professor that the university isn't paying anymore? Great.
yeah. I just love the idea that it's like some people that I'd seen for a long time, and that maybe I kind of knew from the university work, and it's like, oh, you do this as well.
So this is what you do on your time off.
Man, that took forever. Sorry about that. Okay. So
Go. I'll fix it.
Yeah, no, and now everyone's in the wrong place. So the thing I was saying when I thought I wasn't frozen was, so the Circle of Flame is the one that helped you get the workshop? Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, do you want to because of that, you get +1 status with them. Do you want to spend the coin and get +2 status, which gives you no coin to spend on reducing your issue with the one that is coming up. Because
They like
another
us
faction
enough.
was harmed when you got an upgrade, and if you don't spend any coin, you start out with -2 status, which is not the worst, but it's not great. Or you could spend 1 coin and just get -1 status. Or you could go through this, spend 0 coins, get +1 status with Circle of the Flame, -2 with the next one, and then actually have a coin, which is useful for stuff later.
Mhm.
Those are your options. Also, I guess we should figure out which upgrade and which and which one you screwed over to get it. Let's see. So what are we looking at here? You've got
I will throw out there it could also be that we screwed over the Circle of Flame to get the laboratory.
it's possible. If you want to run it that way, that is definitely possible.
Oh no.
Like if you had like if it was like, I mean, it's possible the university had, you know, Circle of Flame people within it and they're pissed at you for stealing it straight from the university. Or like maybe that student who ripped you off was like in the circle.
So yeah, it's like
Definitely
terrible
possible.
idea. We
Yeah.
could piss off the Foundation for getting those pass keys and underground tunnels, right? Like
Yeah.
they're like tier 4.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
like, but we could have pissed them off to get it.
That's
Yeah.
true.
That is a very
Ooh.
good point.
All right. Do we want to make powerful enemies in our session 0? Are we doing this?
Well, I mean, this is going to be a short campaign. It'd make it go quick. If, it would definitely up the tension level if you want to run it that way.
I mean, I'm always happy to lean into into the trouble.
So just throwing this out there as a suggestion. I do like the idea. Yeah, you stole from the Ancient Order of Architects and Builders. Yeah, I mean, the most direct one of these is you literally just stole their stuff. They've got they keep the secrets. They've got this information out there, and you just like
Yoinked it.
yeah, just literally did what you do best and stole it, but somehow they know you did it. Word got back,
Yeah.
and they know. Ooh, actually, I like it better. We'll decide this in game. I like it better if maybe they don't know for sure.
Mhm.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that there's the ambiguity. They're not
Yeah.
sure.
but you've still got, unless you spend a coin, you still got -2 status with them, which kind of makes sense. I feel like they would be that touchy about that.
Mhm.
We think you did. Fuck you.
Yeah,
We have
I
no
know you did it.
proof.
Yeah. I know you did it. I can't prove it, but I know you
I
did
see you at sewer entrances a lot.
a whole lot. And I feel like the Foundation, even if they had proof, they're not the sort of organization to go to the blue coats about it. They handle it themselves.
it. Oh boy.
Many of their enemies have disappeared behind the brick and mortar of Duskable. Yeah.
Exactly.
The Foundation is also, it's one of the weird factions that just doesn't have a lot of information about it. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't have like a more detailed section on it.
Oh darn, that means we get to come up with our own. And this is an excellent point because at some point we're gonna need obviously NPCs. I will come up with a bunch of NPCs, but there will be times that I'm going to ask you to help me come up with NPCs. Some of them are on your character sheets already. And we'll choose one for your crew as well. But there will be other times that we will get to a point and like maybe you'll run into some member of the Foundation, and I may just ask for suggestions about what this particular Foundation person's like, and we can run with that. Having said that, while we're playing, some people don't like being put on the spot like that, and I forget that. And if you don't want to answer the question, pass it to another player. That's fine. But I'm just but I realize just because I like to play that way doesn't mean everyone does. So remind me of that. I promise. I forget 2 things when we're playing. I forget that, and I forget to ask for breaks. So shout out because I I will just plow through. All right, so I think we know. Yeah, Circle of the Flame. So we decided the Circle of the Flame are your friends, and the Foundation is definitely not your friends. So you've got +1 with Circle of Flame and -2 with Foundation. Am I remembering that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, go
All
for
right.
broke.
Yeah.
Fun fact: the Circle of the Flame and the Foundation are allies with each other.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yes,
That's not
apply
gonna be,
pressure.
That's not going to be problematic at all. -2. All right. All right. I got those in my notes. We're ready to run. And like I said, between now and the next session, I'll fill out the whole faction sheet as we need to. Right now, it's just going to be those 3 factions that we've talked about. So we will do that. So now I think we've only got a little bit left. We've only got choosing your favorite contact. So again, we'll go back to the shadow sheet because that has a list of contacts.
Definitely not the blue coat.
No.
Good call.
No.
No,
I like the collector, the deal broker. Maybe the noble could be interesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The noble would fit with well, actually any of you really, but that's
Probably
a good point.
Weaver and Sharky in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, given that the Thistle likes luxurious things,
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, occasionally you just happen to rub elbows with rich people because you
Yeah.
spend your month's savings in a
Yeah.
fancy restaurant.
They find me quaint.
Oh. The
So-
noble would align with the with some of the group goals that I've heard.
That is a
Yeah.
fair point. Oh, well, yeah, you're absolutely right.
And
Yeah.
also, they've got an awesome last name.
Brag.
Yeah.
Freud.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
Freud.
thank you for picking the one I can't pronounce. I love it.
You almost sound like a whiskey.
I was going to say, I'm going to
Almost.
piss off all my Scottish friends if I try it. But all right. I will have -2 status with all of Scotland.
Oh, that's dangerous.
It is. You don't want that. I've already been banned from Glasgow. We can't.
Yeah.
I can't do it again.
I have.
Oh man, I continually buy my Scottish father-in-law, who Japanese whiskey that wins like world every year for his birthday. So I mean, like
You we're yeah, I got you.
yeah,
You are
that's-
brave. You are
Yep.
very brave. I had a narrative beat I wanted to bring up for
Yeah.
Weaver, and that is, she probably knows the deal broker, Amancio.
Yes.
Either they've worked together or they knew each other personally or something, but they seem to be in a similar field of like
Definitely.
being well connected. So I feel like they would know each other on like fairly neutral terms. Maybe not as like a mechanical thing, but just a contact.
Gotcha. Oh, and you do have access to all of these contacts. You're just picking the one that is your favored contact, the one that you have the best relationship with. So any of these are things that you can pull into to a story and say, yeah, I'm definitely going to talk to Fitz about this. So
Got it.
that
Okay.
is an option. So yeah, I'm glad you said that. Yeah, let me get back over here. And if you've already looked at the sheet, you know what's coming. We're doing faction stuff again. So this means that in this case, you don't get to spend coin to change anything. You literally pick one faction that is friendly with your contact and one that is unfriendly. You take +1 status with the friendly one and -1 status with the other one. Now it can be factions that you've already chosen. And you can. This is one way you can adjust factions that you've already got relationships with. You can buff them up or down, or you can just add to the mix of factions that like or hate you, or in this case, like or hate your contact. But it is a thing to It's a note.
I'm wondering if we bump our relationship with the Foundation to a -1, if that's what gives us the ambiguity that like they're not sure that we did it.
That's not
So like
bad.
they have like a suspicion, but they're not going to press it because they don't have proof. So
Because this is related to one of your contacts, do you want that contact to have done something to help throw the suspicion off?
this is a good question. Well, first, what does the party think of this notion? Should we save those resources for something else?
I do like creating that air of ambiguity through the story and with the contact. I do enjoy that. Also I like the idea that the Foundation is also like they are also so low level they couldn't have possibly stolen from us. Because there's also that kind of like there's that like we are so dignified that we can't really cop to being stolen from by.
Oh, that's awesome! I love that actually.
Like
by this little no-name crew that no one's ever.
Oh, I didn't think about that. We actually, again, we don't have to do it now, but you are going to need a crew name.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
All
We can do it
right.
between now and next session. We can talk about it on Discord, but you will need a name.
Oh dear.
So the other option I was thinking for like a positive contact would be like one of the other like more like powerful like administrative kind of organizations, because it seems like the Foundation are like these are mostly legit but like with a lot of shady power. So like what if we were just like cool with the city council and that's why they didn't really want to try and cast aspersion on us at all?
Not bad.
Yes. Let's put some politicians in our pocket.
Yeah, that's good.
And again, if you want to link it to the contact, you could say that the contact is either a member of said organization or just is for whatever reason has a lot of contacts within it. So. And we can figure out why said contact likes you guys so much. Again, the easy answer is you stole something for them. But
yeah.
I love the idea that that it's somebody whose kid I taught.
Yeah.
Yes.
But wait, that could go either way.
Yeah.
That's true. This is one of the students that liked him.
Yeah.
It was, either it was one of the students that liked me, or it was one of the students that hated me. But the parent took a certain amount of Schadenfreude in it.
Oh my god! I didn't think about that. That's good too.
That's good too.
He was like,
way, man.
no,
those are good.
No, actually, you taught them. You taught them exactly what they needed to know. So this
I like that.
He's got a career beyond what he's just doing because of you. So
I like that a lot. And if you choose the noble, it's a noble that understands that even nobles need a fallback. So. Not bad.
Did we just find or create an honorable noble?
Oh my gosh, I think you did.
Oh,
holy crap,
yes.
You did.
and an honorable noble who is like recognizes there's something wrong with the system, and the only way to do anything about it is with this fucked up group of
100%
vagabonds.
Honorable for as long as it benefits them to be so.
Yeah,
I guess.
Right, of course, yeah.
Oh God!
There's also the chance
are
that
we building a freaking veterinary
of...
here. Oh God!
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
So long as it works.
Yeah. Oh no!
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I think there's like a real chance that like we're perceiving them as like an honest noble. But really they are just doing it for power. Like maybe they're doing the right things, but it's for the wrong reasons, and that's good enough for us.
Yeah.
Or we don't fully recognize it.
I'm viewing them as
but we don't have a lot of other choices.
Yeah.
I'm viewing them as a gateway to White Crown.
Oh,
No, there you go. There you go. It's like, aren't you a member of the Obsidian Club? I hear once a year you're allowed to bring a guest.
Ooh.
That would be That'd be nice.
Stuff like that. Just throwing it out there. Okay, so I think we've definitely landed on the noble. All right, we've already got too much invested in the noble.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So okay, so which brings us right next to, or right up to the next one. Which faction is unfriendly with this contact? Which one doesn't like your noble? And it could be we've already established some stuff about the noble. It seems like they are definitely opposed to the rampant corruption, etc., that they see. Or if not the corruption, they're opposed to something that one of the other factions really wants to keep. So what is that going to be?
Could be the Church of the Ecstasy of the Flesh.
Oh, that would be a nice opposing one.
It seems like something that a good politician would not be a fan of every other politician being entangled with.
Oh man! And somehow this person is powerful enough that they aren't directly opposing the state religion, but they've managed to keep themselves separate from it to some extent. I like that.
Mhm.
Or maybe somehow they're untouchable. Maybe they have dirt on the right people and they can just say what they want. That might be
Yeah.
it too. Anyway, we don't have to decide that one, but I like that idea. I like those two. So did we decide to lessen the one with the foundation, or are we doing something a faction for the one you got +1 status with?
What was the one that?
I was suggesting City Council.
Yeah.
You said City Council.
Positive.
Thank you. I forgot. I like City Council. I think that works.
But Foundation is also a perfectly good option.
All right.
I like diversifying,
Okay.
like just having multiple factions
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
So that if things do explode, we can just set them all at each other.
Mhm.
That's always
I
good.
mean, that is an excellent point. All right, let me get over here then. City Council. The City Council consists of 6 members of the nobility who draft and approve legislation, city ordinances, and public works. So either this noble is literally one of the 6, which would be huge, or the noble is, and again, we don't have to decide this immediately. We'll see what works. Or the noble is one of the lesser functionaries that still works with the city council. Definitely got the ear of more than one counselor for
Mhm.
sure. So do we want to do council and church? Like
I like
+1 council, -1 church? All right.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. Let me get that written down and then I'll adjust the sheet later. All right. +1. And is -1. Okay. Also, I will direct your attention to the final paragraph of the summary that says, if you feel like it, you can take +2 and -2 instead. So, you know, if you want to, you can have +2 with council and -2 with church. That is entirely your call.
I think we're
Oh.
already at -2 with the foundation, and if we hit
Ah.
-3, we go to war.
That-
So let's.
Maybe you don't want to push it. Okay, fair point. All right. I'm
It was them.
yeah. Yeah, fair point. Yeah, I don't think you want to be at war with the foundation and the church. That seems like a bad combo. Although I would watch that movie.
Yeah.
All right, so that is everything on the. That's everything. That is. Your characters are already set, and your crew stuff is decided. And I like this stuff. This is going to be great because we've already come up with a bunch of really cool conflicts, not just that you have with other people, but that the factions that you are involved with have with each other. So that's going to be great. And we can go ahead and wrap up in the near future if that's okay with everybody. But before we do that, we got a little bit of time. If we want to discuss anything else, any other ideas that you have about connections, or if questions about the setting, or things that you would like to detail that we've talked about that that have jumped out at you.
I'm going to remind us that we need a name.
You do
So-
need a name.
Yes.
Brainstorm and come back next week
Yeah.
with the name.
Okay. Yep.
This is
That's
true.
what Discord is for. We will talk on Discord. And of course, we will also almost certainly be discussing, like, if anyone has any more ideas between now and next session, throw them out on Discord, and then we'll do a recap when we start next session. Speaking, actually, Speedy, you mentioned long-term project. Do you want to make that a real long-term project
Sure.
on finding out what the thing is?
Yeah.
Or more to the point.
So I will say, I want to leave some of that in your hands.
Right.
I would love for you to tell me what this thing is.
Yeah, I'll work on that between now and next
Okay.
time. We'll get that. But if like, that'll give you something to do during downtime if you want to make that happen. And I feel like that's not going to be a big clock. That feels like I mean, I feel like Grift is already part of the way there. So you're not going to have to fill in too many of those wedges. And I feel like maybe Grift has already done that. So I might set up like it could be like I feel like maybe we're going to do a 4-section clock, and I'm going to fill 1 or 2 in already.
Okay.
So it'll be something that you could probably do in a single downtime if you get the right rolls.
Sweet. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I'll
but yeah.
probably get some information from Weaver on who the target was, and maybe some from Sharky on what the fuck this thing is.
Look, what? Yeah, it's literally you stole. I mean, Connie stole it and showed it to you, and you're like, what?
The widget.
Yeah, you're like. And the thing is, like, you're showing it to Grift. And Grift knows what stuff is. Grift is.
I've stolen a lot of things.
Yeah, it's Grift's job to know the value of things and what they are. And you're like, okay, this one is new to me. Okay, thanks. That's. So yeah, we'll figure out what that is. I got a couple of ideas, but I'll bounce them off you. We'll talk between now and then. And
Weaver has a contact for that.
Weaver does have a contact for that. That's exactly right. Oh.
Fitz, a collector and aficionado of strange artifacts.
I think it's going to be something along those lines. And right now, I will say I'm leaning towards something really weird and spooky. So I think we may have to go that route. I feel like it's going to be one of those things that you both do and don't want to keep. Like, maybe it does something cool, but it's also clearly haunted or whatever. It's bad. So yeah, I think we may have to go that route. Okay, but like I said, we'll nail that down. Also, everybody, go to your character sheets and mark 1 XP because we have had a session. So, and you are supposed to mark XP at the end of every session.
How do I do that?
Let me look.
Towards the bottom, where it says mark XP playbook advancement, just click on one of the little bookmark things.
Thank you. Thingy.
Yeah, technically,
cool.
you can put those. You could put those in your playbook advancement at the bottom, or you could put them in any of the insight, prowess, or resolve.
That's what.
Yeah,
that's
but right now,
for.
it's just got those little slots, and you just click on like Speedy said, just click on one of those, and you should have 1 red one at the end of this.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, we're all here. I just looked at the chat. I was like, yes, we're all here. All of you get an XP as well. Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. If you're watching this, you definitely get XP.
We're going to turn this into a strange metagame.
Watch enough, and maybe you'll get a special power, like the ability to disappear into the ghost field.
Oh, man. I like that. I love the fact that you started your lurk with that too. That's just right there. That tells you what kind of game this is going to be because you can do that. So
there was there were 1 or 2 things I wanted to ask about, and we don't need to go into huge detail.
Okay.
But one thing was just that I just wanted to make sure is I at least have seeds for in my head is what kind of, it says I start with 1 design.
Yeah.
What kind of thing is this? I looked at the items,
go ahead.
But I looked at some of the items later, and it's mostly like bombs and stuff that I was looking at. But I'm wondering if there's like other things besides just weapons that I could make. Like,
you
because I
definitely
had
can.
thoughts in my head about making like things that are special goggles to help see things or in the dark, or ultimately like some
Yeah.
kind of like flying harness thing for one of the PCs who wants to make who wants to have a scene like that where they're soaring above the city, going where they need to go, that kind of thing.
Right. Honestly, anything. I mean, have you looked over the inventing procedure?
I did.
Okay,
I sort of
so
glanced at it.
yeah, so it's something that you've already come up with, and again, between now and first session, we can come up with it, or you can decide. You can decide it on the spot. You can like. One of the great things about playing a game like this is if you haven't decided what the thing is, uh, at the point that you say, wouldn't it be great if I had some special goggles? You're like, oh, right, I invented the special goggles. Here you go. And then you can just hand them over. So nothing wrong with that. You could even do it as a flashback. You could go, yeah, I made this, and then that's your design, and then it locks it in. So whatever makes sense. Or if you want to begin with already having that, then you've got it. And so, as the artificer, I think we know what most of your downtime is going to be. So you've already pretty much locked yourself in
Yeah.
to doing a lot of inventing and crafting.
Yeah.
But that is a good point. So if you have any ideas, feel free to make that the thing that you have. But otherwise, yeah, we'll.
Yeah. I figure I'll narrow it down, but I think my first item will be a thing that I use, and then in between most of this crafting stuff I'm going to end up doing will be stuff for the folks we are sending out into the field to do things.
Right.
I am not very useful in the field per se, unless you want me to help fix something.
Well,
but,
you might, or
I
keep
might.
in mind. I mean, I don't. How good's your rec? Did you do anything?
Oh,
on rec?
I've only got the one rec.
That's better than zero.
That's
So
true.
I mean, so it's an excellent point. You
I'm good at tinker and study. I have a little bit of survey and a little bit of finesse. And a little bit of rec.
yeah. So you have a point. A lot of your stuff is going to be during the like gathering information phase. However, given given who your character is and what you've already studied, it's not going to be difficult for you to get extra dice on a rec roll, because you can easily justify. If I know how to build it, I've got a pretty good idea how to tear it apart.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be. It will be trivial for you, even with your one rec, to get like one more die on that roll just from your knowledge. So
Yeah.
if you guys need to break something, you can definitely show up for that. But also, yeah, Tinker is something that can be used in the field. Tinker's pretty broad, so you can use that for a lot of things.
Okay. Cool. So I'll think about the item
Okay.
starting out, and then we'll sort of. And I guess all of that just goes into like gear when we do that, which is like largely on the spot.
We'll go over this when you do your first job, but I do want to point it out. One of the other things I really like about this system is that when you go out on a job, you simply pick your load, which is how much stuff you have with you, but you don't have to specify what the stuff is. Like until you need it. You're like, you're not going to be stuck wishing you'd brought your lockpicks as long as you still have load that you haven't identified.
Yeah. The other thing I guess I was just going to ask, it sort of is more of a general thing, is if we wanted to talk about any of the other stuff that's like specific to our different characters, as far as like NPCs on our sheets or things like that.
Yeah, I would love that. If you want to bring any of those up, like the one, the ones. Yeah, I mean, if there's anything that you want to throw in that you've already had ideas for, that is more stuff I can use early on. And also to remind you, just because you say it now doesn't mean I'm going to hold you to it if you don't want to do it later. So that is, I think, what we call not fun.
For my positive relationship friend, we already have the negative relationship friend. That is the priestess of whatever.
Yeah, she is. She is
whatever
not
old
your
god
friend.
this priestess is, Melista. Stasia is an apothecary that I apparently get on
That's good.
with. And so I
And that'll
have
be
a
handy
solid-
for yeah. Oh, and I like the fact that you personally have beef with a specific member of the church,
Yes.
and then all of you have are disliked by the church just in general. So
Yeah. And I think
or
that's
if
the
we're
thing
being
is she's not
specific
even
about it, the noble isn't liked, but because you are associated with the noble, you've inherited that.
Yeah. I think it's even possible this is someone in a secret subsect who does because it
Yeah.
because of the
I like
question
that
that it
too.
asked me when it
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. The Forgotten
does that.
God.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Ooh, so you
that's a
could
thought.
actually possibly point the church at her. That's not bad.
Maybe.
Yeah. If it comes to that. All right, good thinking. All right.
But
Absolutely.
But for my apothecary, it's like perhaps a formal scoundrel turned to legitimate alchemical business, or perhaps the other way around.
Yeah. Either
so
way, it seems to work.
I like the idea that this was another teacher who had who did not have tenure but had similar problems. Where they ended up doing alchemical work, just sort of like for
Freelance.
folks on the side. Yeah, freelance.
Right.
Yes.
Did they break bad?
Oh, yeah.
They're an apothecary. I don't think there's any way they couldn't have.
There's like at a certain point, it's like, what's the line between like Tylenol and heroin, right?
I mean, really.
If that's same people making both, like
Pretty much.
my contacts are I have Telda, a beggar, who I imagine is someone who is like a contact. She sees things on the streets when
Nice.
I can't.
Very good.
She's probably got a good eye on like who has a lot of money around, and she's helped me out with some scams before.
Nice.
Stuff where she doesn't have to get too involved, like just yelling out, "Watch out for pickpockets!" And so everyone touches their wallet at the same time.
Nice.
Exactly where it is.
Yes, nice.
Yeah, so I think there's like some just underworld contacts there.
Good.
And then my negative is Darmit, a blue coat.
Okay.
Welcome, Raiders.
Greetings, Raiders.
Hello.
Lucia is raiding us. Hello. Yay. Thank you so
But yeah,
much.
I've got a blue coat who doesn't like me.
Imagine.
Fuck ups. But I'd like to imagine that it's like a cat and mouse situation where it's like he knows that like I'm stealing shit, but he can never quite catch me. Like so I will just like tease him for it when I see him and I'm not doing anything wrong.
Oh, very good. You make a point to be around him when you're perfectly law abiding.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
I'm just having a sandwich. I like that a lot. Those make sense. All right, I like that.
Okay. I've got mine.
Yeah.
All right. So I have a positive relationship with Salia, an information broker. Again, probably because we had worked together in the past, and perhaps Salia was the person who tipped Weaver off for a job that actually went well.
Nice.
And
okay.
So, yeah. Again, just another contact. And the negative relationship is with Jenna, a servant. I feel like this pulls in a lot of backstory for Weaver.
Yeah.
She came from an environment very similar to Jenna's, and Weaver, through a lot of luck and a lot of contacts, got out. Jenna didn't. So Jenna still resents her for that departure, however it happened. A grudge, many years in the making.
Yeah. Does she think you pulled the ladder up behind you?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and whether that's justified or not, that's what
Yeah.
she thinks.
That's what she
So,
thinks. Yeah.
Or it's just not the kind of ladder that she would want to go on, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know,
Perhaps Jenna's not
she has to
aware.
blame someone. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perhaps Jenna's not aware of all the things that Weaver did to get to where she is today.
Almost certainly not. Oh, that's a really good point. Weaver definitely made it look easy, like from the outside. Yeah. Nope, you're right. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because
Weaver's always poised.
yeah, Weaver's whole thing is making it look like stuff just happens. And unfortunately, yeah, Jenna got the wrong idea. So, or I guess she got the right idea, unfortunately.
Weaver sold her facade very well. Unfortunately,
Extremely,
Jenna
yeah.
didn't appreciate it.
Some people do not understand art. All right. I like both of those. All right. What do we have on here? And let's see. I think you've already got Thistle, you've already got yours on your sheet too, don't you? So
Yep. Chael is a vicious thug. That's my negative one. We were prison. Thistle can read and write. And Chael is basically like a prison pen pal kind of situation.
okay.
After they got out of prison, I decided to try to take them out on a date to a nice shop, and they called me a nonce. And we got into an argument, which ended in a knife fight. We were both arrested.
Yeah.
And that broke their probation. They went back to jail.
Gotcha.
They're out.
Back out now. Yeah,
back out now, and they're really mad at me.
Yeah.
And I'm really mad at them because I got kicked out of a shop.
100%.
You're not allowed back in that establishment anymore.
Yeah. So, so we kind of have it out for each other.
That is not great.
Yeah, it's not a great relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, it was doomed from the start.
Yeah. That is too bad.
And Sawtooth is a physiker who bandaged me up after said knife fight.
Yeah, so both of those are related to the same incident. I like it. Okay, that's really good. Yeah, that's great because you've got, one of your lowest points, and then you made a friend that every now and then can help patch you up. I like it.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Yeah, I am excited to play this next week. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So my job between now and next week is to come up with a job for you, so I will do that. Also, as we've already discussed, we have a few details to discuss between now and then on Discord. And also, obviously, if you have anything else, any other ideas, if you want to send them out to the whole group, that's fine. If you just have questions for me, we'll do that. But I will remind you, Speedy and Hollow have more Blades in the Dark experience than I do. So feel free to ask them about stuff too, especially if it's like system stuff. I've played, let me rephrase that. I've played and run a lot of Scum and Villainy, but this is the first time I have run Blades in the Dark. So system is identical, but and really the setting is quite similar as far as the stuff you're doing. But a lot of the details are going to be things that I will be asking the two of you about because you've done it. You have the practical experience. So every now and then, I will need your assistance. So I'm really glad you're here for multiple reasons. So, but having said
I'm
that,
happy to share as much knowledge about this system and this world as possible. I love it.
It's so much fun. It is really good. And another thing, like John Harper has done a really good job, not just creating a system that does the things that you want this to do, but when I first read it, at first I thought there was like too much setting in it. And then when I really read through it, I was like, nope, there is exactly the right amount of setting in this thing. Because it's not particularly detailed. It's just enough to give you the flavor. And you could see what we just did during this session with just most of these things have like one sentence, and from that one sentence we put in our own stuff. It's like ordering a fajita. They bring you all the things and you put them together. And so it's the fajita of role playing games. So we have done that, and but I really like that because it's enough to give you a sense of the flavor that he wanted in the setting. But also I feel like we've really made it our own. So this is just me once again being a John Harper fanboy. So hooray, John! Thank you.
Yeah. If there's one part of the book that you do read to like give you a sense of the world, I would recommend just reading like the faction descriptions for all of them, because it's not just like the details about the factions, but it's how they connect with each other.
Yeah.
That really just you can just see the like story hooks like dripping
Absolutely.
off of them.
Well, like you pointing out that the Foundation and the wait, which one was it? Foundation of the Church are friends. Is that right? Yeah. And like already your crew is in the middle of that. So that's going to be fun. But that's everything I've got. And thank you all for these awesome ideas and these great characters. This is going to be great.
I cannot wait. Was there anything else we wanted to address before we start winding down here?
Nothing from me.
All right. Cool. I am ridiculously excited for this. That's the thing is that I love about and I liked this about Scum and Villainy, and so I love this about this game, which that from which all Forged in the Dark games sprang. Yeah. And they give you, like you were saying, that with the lore, they give you just enough that once you start getting into that part of crew creation, it really starts to gel back and forth, and you start to come up with ideas, and it's delightful. And I am chomping at the bit to play in this, and so I'm very excited. Thank you all very much. We're going to go ahead and do our outros. Feel free to tell folks where they can find you. Feel free to plug anything you like, and give any final thoughts you might have about this whole thing or things we're looking forward to and anticipating. I can't wait. But we're going to start with our GM, Brian.
I'm Brian Cooksey. I'm excited about literally everything we just talked about, and really looking forward to the stuff that the work I'm going to do between now and next Thursday, so we can so I can present you with the job, and so we can see what happens when these characters start interacting together and messing around in the world. So that's going to be fun. I think my information is there it is on the chat. But I'm Vaclam at all the things, mostly Blue Sky these days. For my old school vampire players, that's Malcav backwards. And I am also co-hosting a podcast about Pathfinder 2nd Edition with Quinn Murphy that's called Infections Enthusiasm. So if you're interested in that or just want to learn some stuff about it, please check that out too.
Hey, awesome! It's a fun podcast to listen to. The links in the chat there.
Thank you.
Definitely recommend folks check that out because it's not just about Pathfinder. It's about Pathfinder predominantly, but then they talk about another system to compare things to, and so it's very interesting.
And in fact, I will point out, germane to what we're doing here, we did an episode about downtime, and guess which other game I brought up? Because this game is very significantly about downtime. So I compared the way this does downtime with the way Pathfinder does it, and a lot of cool similarities.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, now let's just go over to Hollow.
Hello, I'm Hollow. You can find me on Twitter, but mostly Blue Sky at Hollow Invective. And I don't stream much on my own channel anymore, but you can find me all around doing stuff like this on other people's channels. If you have something going on, I'll certainly show up and join.
Yay! Awesome. Yeah, and I mean, we will be seeing Hollow again on Sundays.
That is true.
Yeah. Where he's playing an absolutely delightful merchant character in our last game. So very much looking forward to that. And your cutter character is awesome, and I cannot wait to see how this goes. And now we're going to move. We're going to move on to Noctua.
Hello, I'm Noctua. You can find me at Noctua Magna on Blue Sky. I think this is the only live stream that I'm part of at the moment, but eventually you'll be able to catch me on Sundays over at Madeline Colley, where we're play testing a Hearts of Camelot, which was the Hearts of Wulin type spinoff.
Ooh.
So that's coming up soon, and I'm very excited for that. But yeah, that's all I've got going on right now.
Yay. Excellent. And I also really I'm very interested to see how things are going to go with your mastermind character, just because this is it's very sort of I want to see how things get plotted out. It's going to be very cool. And finally, we will head over to Speedy.
Hello, I am Speedy. You can find me on all the socials media as Not So Speedruns, mostly on Twitter, but I've got accounts on the other apps. I don't do too much in the way of streaming. I'm mostly busy with activism. So my call out to you is to join your local DSA chapter and find a way to get involved in your community.
Yes.
And yeah, thank you very much.
Excellent. Yay. I'm just so glad we're getting to play together again. It's been something like 4 years. So it's very, very cool that we're to get to see this happen. And
I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. Dear God. And who am I? I'm Jim. You can find me at OtherDoc on Twitch, YouTube, and most social media platforms. Where I am not OtherDoc, I'm Jim Yes That Jim. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. Down below here on Twitch, you can access my website, social media links, YouTube channel, and various other things. Coming up on this channel on Sunday, we have Alas for the Angry Void. That is our reskinning of Alas for the Awful Sea as a gothic sci-fi.
Love
it. People are already getting into trouble on the first planet they're visiting, the first location they're visiting, a sort of a merchant hub, trading hub, and
there's canned hams.
Hams everywhere. The hams, because there was an altercation. They started a fight less than an hour after they arrived on the planet, and managed to slip away without being caught. It's going to be some very interesting things happening soon, I think, in that in that game. I'm excited to see where that goes. But then on Thursday we have more of this. In the interim, I do video games from time to time, so there'll be a bunch of that. I'm trying to work toward getting some more one-shots out. I'm very soon. I can feel the announcement coming. It's coming soon. That I will announce signups for one-shots of a particular thing. I don't want to say it just yet, though, because I want to. I always have to be sure before I have to wait until the trigger is being pulled before I say the thing. So I want to make sure. But probably very soon. And so you can look for that on my various social media thingies. And that's about it for now. Thank you all very much for watching, folks. When we hit the end card, I'm going to go ahead and send a raid over to the Lost Caravan. They are Lost Caravan channel. They are doing their Wild Week on the Wild Side charity week that I participated in a couple of days ago. I facilitated the Deep Forest over there. Now, speaking of Pathfinder, they're playing Pathfinder tonight. as part of this this charity. They're doing this benefiting. They're raising money for Rewild and also for the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. And so feel free, please check that out. And help them achieve their goals. And you also, if you pledge, you donate money over there, you can win prizes on this. So feel free, feel free to hang on and say hi to them with us. Again, that will be when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and we will catch you next time. Farewell.